My camera died. Anyways, basically what I was saying was, what are you so worried about? I mean, they say that in modern day society with proper health care, measles is not that deadly. I mean, very, very little people die from it. You have a pretty good prognosis of overcoming it. And so why can't people choose how they want, if with proper health care without the use of vaccine, why can't they choose that way to look after themselves? Why are they branded such evil people? You know, you don't see people treating people who spread the flu around, which is a virus, by the way, and has killed people. But you don't see people who don't get the flu vaccine treated like horrible people. Many choose not to. People choose not to get the flu vaccine, but they'll get other vaccines like the measles vaccine, but then they'll look down on you for not getting the measles vaccine, even though they didn't get the flu vaccine, which, by the way, is still a virus. Okay? They're both viruses, and both of them kill people. They don't kill everybody, and a lot of people live through them. But do you see, like, the hypocrisy of this? I mean, if somebody gave your child the flu and your child died, would you hate that person that gave your child the flu? I mean, it would suck that your child died from the complications of the flu, but unfortunately, this is what life is about. Life and death, okay? Death is a part of life, and we have to accept it as a society, and it's not pretty. I've watched my father die, watched my grandfather die, watched my aunt die, watched my grandmother die, watched a lot of people die. And it's never been fun to have these people leave our lives. It leaves the gap. You feel it, it sucks, but to blame other people for things like a virus that has been here since the beginning of time, viruses are always going to be here. You can't eradicate them. You can pretend they're eradicated, but really they're there, but you've just become immune to them. So you can hate people for viruses, but what is that doing to you? What is that doing for your soul, really? We're trying to do the best we can to help people and give them proper health care. And if they do, they usually do fine. But you don't see people hating other people for the flu, right? If someone spreads the flu around and people die from it, they're not going to be branded a horrible person. But if the measles, oh, well, they weren't vaccinated. But the problem with that is even vaccinated people spread the measles. The guy in Toronto, okay? He was up to date on all his measles shots, and he got the measles, and he was spreading it around. Isn't that great? Isn't that funny, though? People can treat him, at least he tried, Well, if you're still... The CDC even said themselves, okay, 20 years ago in their documents, and then they removed it from their webpage, but it was there, and the original document states that they were finding out that people with the measles shots, because when they got the measles shot, it was still active in their system, they were actually capable of spreading it around, which is a scary thing, right? You are given a shot for the measles, and you're spreading it around to other people, and this is supposed to be a shot that's supposed to help you and help protect the people around you. Ooh. See, that's the problem with that. The CDC even says on their website, no vaccine is 100% effective. Therefore, you can still spread it around, and it might not work on you. But it's all the anti-vaxxers that are spreading it around, right? Yeah, considering the guy in Toronto, though, in this measles case, he had all his shots. So why did he get it? And why, you're hating people over this stuff. It makes so little sense, okay? If it's not it's not 100% effective, are you going to treat him worse? Because he got the vaccine, at least he tried, right? Are you going to treat him better than the other people? Why? What is that saying about your humanity? You're coming from a place of fear and judgment and hatred of other people over the fact that death happens. Viruses happen. Viruses are everywhere. The flu kills people. It sucks. It really does. But people choose not to get a flu vaccine because it hasn't always been effective either. And it kills people. But you don't see people treating them horribly. And this is what I said here in this whole debate on vaccines. Funny how I would never look down on anyone who chooses to get vaccinated, even though I do not support it for myself. Nor do I believe in it, really. But I support human rights and freedoms and kindness and love with the absence of judgment, because that is what I stand for. That is what I believe in more than anything. And I support your right to get it. Yet you do not support mine or treat me with kindness and love and absence of judgment. It's attack mode, mob mentality at its best. Judgment, name calling, ridicule, closed mindedness, etc. I support both sides. I support your right to go get it. I support the person's right not to get it. I stand for freedom and basic human rights, and coming from a place of love and kindness. And I just, honestly, I didn't see that at all here. People were coming at me like a storm of hatred and madness. Keep your kids away from mine. Like, really? Your kid's vaccinated? You really shouldn't be too worried, considering that your child that was vaccinated could still spread it around if it doesn't work and it's not effective, which actually has happened many times. And there's no proof at all that it's people who don't get vaccinated that are causing the increased rise in the measles. The measles is always there to begin with. Maybe it's evolving. And anybody ever think about that? Viruses evolve to survive. To, I don't know what they do. I was reading on here all about viruses. I'm not technically minded in that regard, but it's saying how viruses evolve, like the swine flu. It evolved from living on pigs and jumped to people. At first, it was just a swine flu, but then it started spreading to people because it was evolving. These things happen. It's a part of life. Viruses are a part of life. Death is a part of life. Sickness is a part of life. But to treat people horribly for not getting a vaccine, there's no moral right to that. Okay, there just isn't. You have to come from a place of love, and an absence of judgment is all accepting of people at all times. Okay, because when you're to a point where you're actually saying these people are horrible people just for choosing something for themselves, and like they're parasites. I mean, Mother Teresa hanging around. Take a lesson from her. Or Jesus, for example. Not that I believe in any of that stuff, but if you're going to be a religious person and treat people who don't get vaccines like horrible people, Jesus hung around with lepers. He did. He wasn't worried whatsoever. He loved, because that was his message, come from a place of love. And this is not where most of these people were not coming from a place of love, and that's where I have an issue with it. You need to come from a place of love. And I'm just gonna read you some of this. Here's my problem with science of today, modern day science, with the whole GMO thing, and that there's scientists that support GMOs and scientists that don't. Who's to say who's right and who's wrong, right? Who's to say one scientist is right over another? It's really, at this point, they're like, well, this one has evidence, well, this one has evidence. Unfortunately, with modern day science, a lot of it's ruled by the pocketbook. And the vaccines are a very, very profitable, like big pharma, very, very big profitable industry. So I wrote something on here about that, if I can scroll back. Okay. My personal opinion, science has become tainted by greed. So much so that, in fact, the science of this generation has become the new religion of this planet. An idea that is so widely accepted and not questioned that no one truly questions it, even when it causes them to support things that are against human rights and freedoms and causes people to be hateful. Like how people killed in the name of God during the Dark Ages. They didn't question it. They were like, oh, this is for God. God supports us killing people. Like, really, though. Because they held to the idea so strongly that they lost their own souls over it. Where people blindly follow and never argue the actual science. They just say, oh, well, it was peer-reviewed, so it must be right? A bunch of fellow scientists agree. Can't be wrong, right? Except not all scientists agree. Isn't that funny? Not all scientists agree. I guess some are more right than others. I don't know how that works. But that is why I support people's right to choose right there. Because not even scientists can agree. Okay. Okay. Must be true then if it was peer reviewed. I mean, why would any scientist ever want to discount vaccines that literally line their pocketbooks? Think about that. They're making money off saying vaccines are okay. Scientists make money. Doctors and scientists make money off promoting vaccines. Why ever would they do so? Why would they discount in the lab rooms they do their science in, all paid for by Big Pharma and the government, by the way? Ever ask yourself who funds all these scientific, tests and experiments? Money comes from somewhere, right? Well, considering the rich kind of rule the world and they say whatever they want to say, really makes you think a little bit, So these lab rooms, they're funded by Big Pharma and the government,